provide you with the lowest per GB rates, night or day. SLT 4G, driving you ever forward.
Making headlines on First at 9. Change of house. Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa leaves the SLFP and joins the SLPP. Dissolution justified. Was the country saved from chaos?
The entire riots will start all over the country if we are to go ahead with the 14th proceeding.
Winds of change. United National Party gives the strongest inclination yet to promote Sajith Premadasa to the helm. Injury blow. Dinesh Chandimal ruled out of the next test against England. Suranga Lakmal given the captaincy. End of dark times. Over 70 world leaders gather in Paris for the centenary commemoration of the First World War. A very good evening and welcome to First at 9 on Derana 24/7 Sri Lanka's news channel. I'm Katharina Chang. On to your local stories now. Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa today left his native Sri Lanka Freedom Party and obtained membership of Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna, which is considered a fledgling party in the country's political landscape. The Premier wasn't alone in renouncing the SLFP membership, as 27 others also followed him to the SLPP.
A special ceremony to grant memberships of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna was held at the official residence of Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa at Vijayarama today. Chairman of the party, Professor G.L. Piris, and Secretary of the party, Attorney-at-Law Sagara Karyavasam, were present at the event. Later, Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa obtained the membership of the party from Chairman G.L. Piris. Several parliamentarians of the group of 16 who served ties with the unity government during its tenure, Lakshman Yapa Abewardana, Anura Priyadarshana Yapa, T.B. Ekanayaka, Chandima Veerakodi, Susantha Punchinilame, Sumedha G. Jayasena, Taranath Basnayaka and Sudarshini Fernando Pulle also took membership of the SLPP today. Meanwhile, several parliamentarians who represented the SLFP, Mahindananda Alutgamage, Johnston Fernando, Janaka Bandara Tennakon, C.B. Ratnayaka, Mahinda Yapa Abewardana, Shehan Semasinghe, Namal Rajapaksa, Janaka Vakumbura, Dulip Vijayasekara, Prasanna Ranatunga, Rohita Abegunawardana, Piyankara Jayaratna, Nimal Lanza, Kanchana Vijayasekara, Arundika Fernando, Thenuka Vidanagamage, Indika Anuruddha Herath, D.V. Chanaka and Prasanna Ranavira also followed suit.
Public must decide as to whether we took the right decision or not. It's wrong if someone challenges the public's right at a court. I don't understand why certain parties are scared when we say this is an election which would ensure democracy. So we will definitely go for an election and win it.
Premier later responded to questions raised by foreign journalists.
The opposition that is saying that it's a death of democracy, what do you make of that?
What is democracy? We had gone to the people. Let the people decide. If they are wrong, they will vote against us.
What about the 19th Amendment?
What is this 19th Amendment? You must read the other sections also. As a whole, the Constitution. Under the Constitution, we have the right. The President has the right to call for election. That is not something that is anti-democratic.
UNP is trying to take you to court. What do you have to say to that?
We are going to meet the lawyers now.
Very confident that it is going to be that you're going to sweep the polls in January?
Definitely. Already we have gazetted it, so no one can stop it.
What about concerns of the international community? There are some countries that have come out and commented.
No, I mean, international community must realize that this is democracy. Go to the people, take their mandate. This is undemocratic. Are you saying that it is undemocratic?
Are you going to reach out to the international community?
Oh yes, we will. Yes, we will reach to them. They must understand our position, and the President has spoken to them. Then our party leaders have gone and explained to them. So I will also meet them.
And finally, we're looking at India. India has had its own concerns. Are we looking at a messaging or some kind of reaching out to Prime Minister Narendra Modi? You met him.
I met him, and I think he understands me very well.
Several parliamentarians who obtained membership of the SLPP later expressed views to media.
The public is with Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa because the SLPP has established power at grassroots level. We hope to strengthen this power and establish a government of our own. Everything's ready for the election on the 5th of January to establish our government and chase former Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe from temple trees, which he seems to think is his property. Under the decision of President Maithripala Sirisena and Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa, there will be a coalition in which SLPP will be the main political party. It is from there that all of us will contest.
As we at Derana telecasted a short while ago, President Maithripala Sirisena delivered a special statement today. The head of the state reiterated that he had upheld the democracy of the parliament and had not at any point violated the constitution of the country when dissolving parliament. Giving reasons for his decision, the president said that parliamentarians were being brought by political parties from sums ranging from 100 million to 150 million rupees during crossovers, and that critical statements were being made to each other by members of the House. President Sirisena was also critical of Speaker Karu Jayasuriya's conduct following the appointment of the new Prime Minister and the establishment of the interim government. President went on to note that following these developments, his view was that the people of the country must make a decision regarding the situation. The head of state said that it is in this backdrop the president had made the decision to dissolve the parliament and called for a general election. The president also called on political parties and members of the public to support the election commission in their processes ahead of the general election in the 5th of January next year. Former parliamentarian Ranjit Madhuma Bandara and Ajit P. Pereira assures their support within the United National Party to nominate Sajith Premadasa as the candidate for the country's premiership. In the meantime, several protests were organised by UMP supporters across the island, condemning the dissolution of parliament.
We only have two choices. One is to take this matter to court and to get ready for the upcoming election. We had discussions on forming a broader coalition in order to win this election. People believe that the party needs a leadership change. Ranil Wickremesinghe has been the leader for 24 years. If Ranil Wickremesinghe is resigning from the leadership, most of our members are of the view that Sajith Premadasa should be the leader. We will go to the Supreme Court tomorrow and we hope justice will be served. If the Supreme Court gives its verdict in favour of the dissolution, we cannot assure that the Parliament will not be dissolved even after the election.
UNP supporters organised a protest in Monoragala today, expressing objection over the dissolution of Parliament.
We will take the power back after the 5th of January. Who is the leader you want? I will talk to the party on nominating Sajith Premadasa as the candidate for the premiership.
Meanwhile, former ministers of the United National Party arrived at the Sri Vishnu Devala in Dondra this morning and engaged in religious observances. Another protest was organised in the area of Bandaragama under the patronage of former parliamentarian Ajit P. Pereira.
This country needs a new leadership and he is none other than Sajith Premadasa. We will win any election under his leadership.
Our cameras captured a protester attacking a vehicle belonging to the Election Commissioner's office during the protest.
Former UPF MP Thilanga Sumitipal expressed his dismay over comments made by Speaker Karu Jayasuriya and affirmed that the President has the power to dissolve Parliament as per the Constitution. Minister of Tourism and Wildlife Vasantha Senanayake meanwhile says that it is best left for the people to decide as to who should be the Prime Minister of the country and welcome the move to hold elections.
The country cannot run when the executive and the legislature is going to have a direct confrontation. We are sad somewhat. Speaker has taken a very high ground and to take a decision and take the honors of by himself to decide who should be the Prime Minister of Sri Lanka. There is no provision in the law or in our constitution that the Speaker to determine or find out who is going to be the Prime Minister of this country. It is totally a responsibility in the hands of the executive of the country. When he takes such a high ground, what happens is there are people who are virtually going from one party to the other, and there will be a lot of negotiations with them. And as a result of that, even supposing if you even say Honorable Mahinda Rajapaksa has 115 and others are having less than 105 or whatever, that doesn't mean you can confirm the Premier's strength. Supposing Premier has got less than the opposition, that doesn't mean you can remove the Premier on that day. All what I can see is the entire country from the center to the grassroots level, there will be a division. People will be fighting with each other. This country will be like 1983, the Black July. The entire riots will start all over the country if we have to go ahead with the 14th proceedings. Anybody can go and file any action if they wish to, but law is very clear. President has the power to dissolve parliament and go before the people and ask for a mandate. So I don't think anybody can be successful by going to courts when you know the situation what we are going through now.
Well, the Speaker expressed his views, which were diametrically opposite to the views expressed by His Excellency the President. And I think in respect of taking into consideration the fact that such diametrically opposed views were expressed, it could have created a situation of tension and unrest. It could have also created a situation where the people of the country were very confused. So under this present setup, I personally welcome an election. However, there are different views as to whether an election, whether the President can call for an election and whether it is constitutional. We eagerly await the views of the Supreme Court. However, when one cannot decide, as it has got so complicated, as the situation has got totally out of control and there appears to be two people claiming to be Prime Minister, I think the best answer we can get is to resort to the people and ask the public, what is your view?
Former Chief Minister of Northern Province C.V. Vigneshwaran is also weighing in on the prevailing political situation in the country and the President's move to dissolve the Parliament and announce a snap election. While affirming that the President's recent political conduct contradicts law, Vigneshwaran says that he has no connections with the Tamil National Alliance anymore and that he is yet to decide on his newly formed party's role in the looming elections.
Things which are currently happening are illegal. It's unlawful to oust a Prime Minister who won a motion of no confidence tabled against him. There are conflicts in the constitutional opinions expressed, based on which the decision was taken. Those constitutional opinions expressed are not for the President but against him. The current measures taken by the President are also illegal, hence the Election Commissioner said that he will make decisions based on the Supreme Court verdict. I don't know that whether he will stick to his word, as he might be pressurized. We believe that he will take measures according to the law without being affected by other influences.
Commenting on the dissolution of Parliament, leader of the Sri Lanka Muslim Congress, Rauf Hakim, expressed the party's intentions to file a case with the Supreme Court on Monday in a bid to clear the legitimacy of the move. Speaking to media this morning, SLMC's leader went on to note that the continuous violation of the Constitution is detrimental to human rights. Leader of the Sri Lanka Muslim Congress, Rauf Hakim, and a group of former parliamentarians of the party returned to the island today after being on a pilgrimage to Mecca.
We see this as a deplorable situation where the Constitution is being violated repeatedly. We feel the time has come to take this matter to the Supreme Court in order to protect our rights, and we will file a case on Monday. After we contest independently, we will decide whether to work with the government or not. It is clear that these decisions were made because they cannot obtain the majority. Let's see what the Supreme Court's decision is.
අපි බලමු ශ්‍රේෂ්ඨාධිකරණයේ තීන්දුව බලාපොරොත්තුෙන් අපි අපේ නඩුව ගොනු කරනවා.
Following the arrival of the pilgrims, discussions were held with fellow members from the Sri Lanka Muslim Congress at their party headquarters this afternoon. Meanwhile, Propaganda Secretary of the JVP, Vijitha Herath, is not in favour of the President's decision to call snap elections, as he says the party will seek the Supreme Court's verdict on the legitimacy of the relevant gazette issued by the head of state. Speaking at an event held in Kegol yesterday, Herath said that snap elections were called in January next year in violation of the Constitution.
If we allow them to violate the Constitution in this manner, when will they stop? It is uncertain. This will lead to the country's destruction. We will tell the Elections Commission not to accept the Gazette as it is in violation of the Constitution. The Commission has no right to hold elections because of this. We will go before the Supreme Court tomorrow and request them to make a decision and explain the fundamentals of the rule of law.
With members of some political parties airing their intention to seek the assistance of the Supreme Court over the President's move to dissolve the Parliament, Chairman of the Election Commission is happy to prepare for a possible general election until the Commission is told otherwise. During an interview with BBC's Sinhala service today, Chairman Mahinda Deshapriya said that officials of the Commission are bound to continue preparing for an election until the Supreme Court issues a stay order.
ජනාධිපතිවරයා පාර්ලිමේන්තුව විසිරපු අවස්ථාවේ පළවුණු මාධ්‍ය වාර්තාවක් තමයි මහින්ද දේශප්‍රිය මැතිවරණ කොමිසමේ සභාපතිතුමා මේ මැතිවරණය පවත්වන්න බෑ මේක නීත්‍යානුකූල නැහැ කියලා ඒ නිසා ඔහු උසාවිය යනවා කියලා වාර්තාවක් පළවෙ තිබුණා කියලා.
මම කිසි කෙනෙක් සමග
I haven't told anybody that the Commission or I was going to go to court regarding the matter. The UPFA and the EPDP said that the dissolution of Parliament is legitimate. UNP, the JVP and Ilange Tamilar Sukhachi say that the President's decision was illegitimate. Muslim Congress hasn't informed us their stance yet. Political parties which say that this is illegitimate have informed us that they are hoping to go to court. So let's see what the court has to say now.
අධිකරණය කුමක්ද කියන්නේ කියලා.
එතකොට මේ මැතිවරණය කල්යාමක් හෝ පරක්කු වීමක් වෙන්න පුළුවන්.
තානන් නියෝගයක් දුන්නොත්
we can stop the process if court issues a stay order. But if we stay idle with the anticipation of a stay order, we will lose precious time. So our officials are bound to continue with relevant processes until a stay order is issued.
අපේ නිලධාරීන් බැඳලා ඉන්නවා.
An attorneys association, Lawyers for Democracy, charges that Sri Lankan politicians exploit the constitution of the country to suit their own agenda whenever they want. Addressing a media briefing in Colombo today, they also argued the people to make correct decisions at the upcoming election and to always side with correctness.
Today we are experiencing has been created due to power greed by two parties. 6.2 million gave a mandate not to steal but to protect the country to this Maithripala and Ranil. Ranil of course renegated on the promise by not filing a single case against corrupt people from the past. Not only that, the central bank issue, he can't say he's clean. He's no more Mr. Clean. He must go home. There's no two words about it. But it must be done democratically. It must be done according to rule of law and constitution. Our politicians, regardless of their parties, have been using law and the constitution like toilet paper. They do something terribly wrong, indecent, immoral and uncivilized and then drag on to the papers of the constitution so they could wipe their dirty deeds. That's not how a constitution should be used. So therefore, my only request from the public, open your eyes, forget party politics, forget all these colored politics. Stand on the side of the right. It's about time that the people open their eyes and not vote in corrupt politicians. It's pointless cheering and waving flags and putting corrupt people in because the country will go down very badly.
Meanwhile, they also laid out how to challenge the President's decision to dissolve the Parliament in court.
Under the Constitution, this is to be challenged by way of a fundamental rights application under Article 126 of the Constitution. The Constitution says a fundamental rights application has to be heard and determined within 2 months. And given the public importance of the issue, I'm sure the Supreme Court will consider hearing and determining the matter as soon as possible.
The civil organization Yuthukama charges that the same Western forces which violated the UN Charter and the Vienna Convention now lament the recent political manifestations in Sri Lanka. Addressing a media briefing in Colombo today, its secretary Lasantha Wickramasinghe said instead of interfering in the internal affairs of other countries, Western powers such as the US and the UK must debate in their parliaments on measures of apology over their obtrusive and untoward interferences as well as the wrongs they committed to other nations in the past.
We saw recently the foreign involvement in Sri Lanka, that they are interfering and making a statement through social media like Twitter and Facebook. For example, Aliana Teplitz from US and James Doris from UK High Commission has made several statements regarding the Sri Lankan status. At the same time, the Sri Lankan civil society are alleging them also violating UN Charter and the Vienna Convention. So now it's their turn to respond whether they have violated Vienna Convention or have you violated UN Charter. Please say yes or no. So then if you don't want to answer this and you just want to skip this allegation and just continue what you are doing now, so it's again up to people of Sri Lanka, so we can have a debate on these things. It's a rogue state. This is how American has killed people in Libya, Iraq, Vietnam, and all over the place, and Yemen, Syria. And this book is written by Dr. Shashi Tharoor, and this is how they have destroyed India. And the situation in Sri Lanka has not been different 200 years ago, and you have still not apologized from Sri Lankan citizen. So you can debate in your parliament, not how Sri Lankan parliament should behave, or you can debate in your parliament how could you apologize Sri Lankans on the way that you did the massacre in 1818, 200 years ago. I think that has not happened still. So it's up to you to decide how to go forward.
You are watching Sri Lanka's award-winning news channel, Derana 24/7.
Experts predict the market to gain positive momentum in the upcoming week, with foreign investors to continue to be on the selling side. During the week, the all-share price index lost 1.9%, while the S&P 20 decreased by 3.6%. We now have Achyutan Srirangan from First Capital Holdings with details on how the market is expected to perform in the coming week.
The market saw a strong uptrend despite the foreign outflow in the past, with the Friday being the strongest day for the market, rising 43 points. And we believe the local investors have got reactivated in the market amidst healthy valuation. We expect the market to attain a positive momentum in the coming week with some resistance as the index cross 6,000 mark. And foreign investors are likely to continue to be on the selling side, but we expect the slowdown as well. And activity and the turnovers levels are likely to be improved in coming weeks.
Chinese e-commerce giant Alibaba Group Holding Limited settled roughly $9.92 billion in the first hours of its annual Singles Day on today, up roughly 21% from last year's early haul. Singles Day was biggest online sales event, and last year netted Alibaba $24.14 billion in total sales. A disproportionately large number of sales are recorded in the first minutes of the 24-hour spending spree, when transactions are recorded for items that have been put on hold. Alibaba kicks off the annual event with a gala, which this year featured US singer Mariah Carey and Japanese Beyoncé impersonator and a shoe shopping themed Cirque du Soleil performance. It is expected to be the company's final November sale event, with founder and chairman Jack Ma at the helm. The company announced in September that current chief executive Daniel Zhang will take over as chairman next year. This year, Alibaba said there were around 180,000 brands participating in Singles Day. "100 years ago today, at the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month, the First World War, which killed millions of people, finally came to an end. Every year since, the world marked 11th of November as Armistice Day, a time to remember the colossal tragedy of the war and pay tribute to the many soldiers who died. Today, over 70 world leaders are gathered in Paris to commemorate the centenary of the armistice. This year also saw for the first time since the World War II a French and a German leader returning to the forest clearing in northern France where the armistice for the World War I was signed.
A century ago, 9.7 million soldiers and 10 million civilians died in the World War I, which lasted from the 28th of July in 1914 to 11th of November in 1918. Today, over 70 world leaders, including German Chancellor Angela Merkel, US President Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin gathered in the French capital for remembrance events. French President Emmanuel Macron led the main event of the centenary, a somber commemoration at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, a memorial to France's fallen under the Arc de Triomphe in Paris. Since yesterday, various events to mark this significant day were staged. In one such event yesterday marked the first time since World War II, a French and a German leader returning to the forest clearing in northern France, where the armistice that ended World War I was signed. French President Emmanuel Macron and German Chancellor Angela Merkel jointly commemorated the armistice, unveiling a plaque and signing a book inside a replica of the wagon used by Marshal Ferdinand Foch, the supreme Allied commander who drew up the terms of the armistice after German capitulation. Merkel is the first German Chancellor in 78 years to visit the forest clearing. The armistice clearing and the wagon were long a symbol of peace and victory for the French until 1940, when Adolf Hitler chose the same location to declare France's capitulation and destroyed it in the process. The site was rebuilt in 1950 and the granite used to mark the clearing is the same as the one used for the tomb of the unknown soldier in Paris's Arc de Triomphe. Later, the German Chancellor delivered a strong message of peace.
It has been very touching for me to talk with many personalities, look them in the eye and see how clearly they expressed how important it is to have peace today and that it is not for granted. And I say that on behalf of the German Federal Republic. Do everything in our hands to reach a more peaceful world order, even though we know there is still a lot to do.
The death toll in the wildfires raging through California has now risen to 25. This comes after 14 more bodies were discovered in or near the disseminated town of Paradise in the state's north, bringing the number of confirmed deaths to 23. 2 more people were killed in the south near Malibu.
US firefighters are battling 2 massive out-of-control wildfires burning at both ends of California, including a blaze now considered the most destructive in state history and a conflagration menacing the Tony Beach colony of Malibu. As of yesterday afternoon, the fire had blackened more than 100,000 acres at the edge of the Plumas National Forest. All 13,000 residents of Malibu, which is 30 miles west of downtown Los Angeles, were ordered to evacuate on Friday. Among those forced to flee were celebrities including Lady Gaga and Kim Kardashian. Reuters cameraman Christian Orlinski meanwhile found himself trapped as a fast-moving wildfire surrounded his car and several other vehicles in Malibu, California on Friday morning. Some 95,000 residents have been evacuated in Ventura County alone. President Donald Trump has drawn anger by saying that poor forestry management is to blame for the fires. Trump tweeted that, quote, "There is no reason for these massive, deadly and costly forest fires in California, except that forest management is so poor," unquote.
You are watching Sri Lanka's premier news channel, Derana 24/7.
Sri Lanka captain Dinesh Chandimal has been ruled out of the second test against England, which is scheduled to get underway in Pallekele. Chandimal suffered an injury during the first test in Galle and will be out for 2 weeks, which could also make him a doubt for the third test in Colombo, which is to be played from the 23rd of November. Surang Lakma will fill in as captain of Sri Lanka in Chandimal's absence. Team manager of Sri Lanka cricket Charit Senanayake stressed that his decision to resign from his position was purely based on the betterment of the team and the country. Speaking to First at 9, he added that he was forced to resign as his presence as the manager was claimed to be detrimental for the team.
It was rather unfortunate that I was forced to hand over my resignation. It was based on a personal decision that I took, mainly on principle. On the first day of the test match, I was informed by a member of the media that I was taken out of the New Zealand tour, which I wasn't aware of. Immediately, I contacted my CEO, asking him to clarify the position with regard to my position as managing the Sri Lanka cricket team. When he did not respond, I sent him an email thereafter. He sent me a message that we'll discuss this further once I get back to Sri Lanka. Upon his arrival, I asked him and the competent authority, is there any truth that I've been taken out of the forthcoming New Zealand tour? For which they said yes. The reason that was given that my presence in the team is detrimental to the squad, which is the coaching staff and the members. There were lapses in communication that's not acceptable. That forced me to resign immediately. My decision is purely based on what is good for the team, country and the institution SLC.
Greece's Stefanos Tsitsipas lived up to his top seeding by beating second seed Alex de Minaur yesterday to clinch the title for young tennis stars at the Next Gen Finals. The Next Gen Finals began last year and serves as a platform for younger players to play on the big stage while also allowing experimentation with new ideas to help tennis evolve as a sport.
Greece's Stefanos Tsitsipas won the ATP Next Gen Final in 4 sets by beating Australia's Alex de Minaur. In sets up to 4 games in the Under-21 tournament in Milan, Tsitsipas won 2-4, 4-1, 4-3, 4-3. A break was enough for de Minaur to take the lead, but Tsitsipas levelled before he claimed the third set after a tie break. De Minaur saved 2 match points on his serve in the fourth, but lost another tie break as Tsitsipas won the match.
You are watching Sri Lanka's #1 news channel, Other Derana 24/7.
Moving on to our weather forecast for tomorrow, temperatures are to vary between 18 and 30 degrees Celsius, with the highest of 30 degrees expected in Ampara. A low pressure zone will develop in the western province and will gradually disappear. Light showers may occur in the eastern province and sunny weather will prevail elsewhere in the island. Fairly strong winds of up to 40 to 45 kilometers per hour can be expected in eastern and western provinces and in the Badulla and Kegol districts. Misty conditions may occur at some places in the Sabaragamu and central provinces during the morning. Up next is the city by city forecast. And with that, we conclude this edition of First at 9. But before we go, we'd like to leave you with visuals of Cape Town, the capital of South Africa. Cape Town is one of the South Africa's most historically important cities and is also known as one of the most beautiful cities in the world. The city is known for its harbour, for its natural setting in the Cape Floristic region, and for landmarks such as the Table Mountain and Cape Point. We hope you enjoy these visuals and have a pleasant evening.
Bringing you the news and information 24 hours a day. This is Sri Lanka's premier news channel, Other Derana 24/7.